if Warzone is in the state it's in now, by the time Verdansk comes back, I don't think Warzone's going to have a big boom ever again.
This is an existential crisis for Warzone.
100%.
It's on that kind of level that if they don't sort this out, it's toast.
Yes. I don't think it'll be bringing in new people. I think the game's going to get stale.
Okay.
100%.
Well, let's dive into the details here. I'm sure there's a lot of people listening that are wondering what the hell we're talking about. They want some context and stuff. So let's go back in time for a moment and we'll do two things. Number one, give me a little intro on who you are, what you do, and that sort of side of things. And then also we can kind of turn the clock back and talk about where Warzone sort of started and the state it was in then, and then how things have progressed to get to the point, the dire situation that it's in right now. So yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I'm Hunter TV. I am a Call of Duty YouTuber. I've been one of the top viewed on across genres, multiplayer zombies, specifically Warzone. That's been like my main thing. I've been doing it since full-time since COVID started, so like February-ish, March-ish. And yes, let's talk about the Warzone when it launched. So when Warzone came out, obviously the world was in a lockdown, so like everyone was at home and stuff.
So you went full-time actually kind of a similar time, right? You kind of
a little bit before. Like that's when it really kicked off. Like I started, it was full-time in November, but I was a nobody, but I kind of just like sent it from there. But Warzone is what really got the ball rolling for me and a lot of other people because it was just so huge and it was fresh. It went one-to-one with Modern Warfare. It was honestly like a great experience all throughout COVID. And I think that's when things kind of got bad, is when we kind of were integrating games into Warzone. Because I don't think they were ready for that, because it was like, oh my God, Warzone just blew up out of nowhere.
Right.
And
so Warzone came out
March of 2020.
March 2020. And then first integration would have been the next game at the end of that year, right? Which I guess was
Cold War.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when they integrated it, it like busted the game so bad. It was really broken, but the problem is it got worse when they added Vanguard. Vanguard completely broke the game, because I don't think they intended on having all these titles jammed into it. It was kind of like, oh God, it's successful, let's keep this going. And so I think the problem we're having is we reset every year. So we got Warzone 2.0, all the progress we made in Vanguard with like quality of life features like redeploy drones or like redeploy balloons. The redeploy balloons you can throw down, you can take zip lines, and you could rotate. It made the game a lot better. And lootable perks too, all those things, like perks that you could loot off the ground. We had all these quality of life changes stripped with Warzone 2.0, and then Warzone 2.0 was in a really, really bad spot for almost the entirety of Warzone 2.0.
And when did that come out? When was the sort of start of 2.0?
2022. I think it was either late November, I'm pretty sure.
So basically, the Vanguard version of Warzone was that. Is that right?
No. Vanguard Warzone launched 2021 in December.
Okay, so a year up. So it's already been a bad year with the Vanguard year.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was okay. It wasn't like it was okay. It wasn't like life breaking, but it was okay. But then when we got Warzone 2.0, that's when we kind of shifted into a bad direction, because we lost every quality of life feature that Vanguard offered that was amazing. And we lost Rebirth Island, which was like a huge deal. We lost Fortune's Keep, and that was a big deal because, you know, Warzone 2.0 was just only a big map. And the big map was exciting, but the issue was the core game was not there. So like everything you knew, like the redeploy drones and all that stuff, they added those post-launch content. Like Season 2, I think they added features we already had in Warzone 1. We kind of just built and built and built. All right, MW3 comes out with Warzone again the year after. It breaks the game again. But this time, we have a different big map that nobody really was a fan of. And so they had to pivot back to Rebirth Island coming back. And they had to pivot back to Fortune's Keep coming back, which was, I'm pretty sure it was already in the works. But it's like, you know, if we didn't have those things, I think we would have had a bad MW3 year. So when Rebirth Island came out, we kind of got a bunch of quality life changes that were absolutely amazing. Like the ball was rolling, like the movement was good. We had all these quality of life changes, really awesome perks they were adding. We had Rebirth Island. We had 3 small maps, and it was good to rotate between them because they have different vibes. Fortune Keep is like, it's more of an old school like Vanguard vibe because it comes from Vanguard. That's pretty good. And then we had Rebirth Island. That's like the bread and butter. It's like the Cold War map. You know, it's from Cold War, from Black Ops 4, whatever you want to say. And then we had Vondel, which was like a very urban, very modern lifestyle map. You know, you had like the stadium for paintball. You had like the Vondel Times Square with like the houses. You had the mall. You had the university. It was a very diverse map. And then we had big map, obviously. And then with Black Ops 6, they messed up big time. So the game right now, I've been playing Black Ops 6 so much. I have the master camo from Warzone, Black Ops 6. Like, I have the Warzone master camo. Like, that takes a really long time to get. And I haven't seen anybody in game with it yet. I would doubt it. Over 1,000 people have it. It's so rare. But playing the game so much, I've seen so many bugs where the game is not even in a playable state where you can take the game serious at all. Like, there's a bug that happens every minute where you cannot take the game serious at all. And the worst part is, they stripped all the quality of life changes we had throughout Modern Warfare 3. So everything Modern Warfare 3 had going, we lost instantly all of it with Black Ops 6 because they were building Black Ops 6 Warzone on the Modern Warfare 3 Warzone that launched. So they weren't building it on like, okay, we're building it on the current version of Modern Warfare 3 Warzone. They were building it on a year-old version.
Yeah, it's like and all the stack of extra changes they made were just wiped clean so that they could revert back to that base 1.0 version. And, right, it was also, as far as I understand it, you correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe the original plan was that the map was going to be Avalon, right? Avalon was going to launch with the launch of this game. And so the sort of Black Ops 6 big map would be that. And everyone would be excited about that because it's like, okay, hell yeah, new big map, cool. We've got like Omni movement in the game now. That could be exciting. Who knows, right? But then they delayed Avalon until I think next year is the plan. And then Verdansk is going to be in between, right? What's the deal with that?
So Avalon, you could definitely tell Avalon was meant to launch with this integration because the storyline of season 1, it's about Avalon. A lot of the multiplayer maps are literally just POIs from Avalon. Like Red Car, the big stadium. Is it called is Payback?
I don't know. But I know what you mean. I know there's several of them.
A bunch of maps, majority of them. Like even the new one, the one from Black Ops 4, the mansion map, that is straight from the Warzone map. The storyline was all about the Warzone map. What else? Campaign. It literally has like locations from the big map in the campaign.
It ties in with zombies as well.
Avalon.
The next, I mean, Citadel de More is in Avalon, and then the next map that is presumably going to be this Origins continuation thing, whatever they're going to do there, is also in Avalon. So like, they've clearly got so much that was built for the Avalon direction, but then I don't know. Do you know why they pivoted away from it?
Verdansk. Because Verdansk's coming back. They literally, because it wouldn't make sense. Why would they release this brand new, really built map and then they can it a couple months later because we have Verdansk back?
Right, but and Verdansk is coming back in March or April next year.
April, yeah. And I'm worried about it just because they have not been working on it that long. Like they only, once OG Fortnite was out and they saw it was successful, that was during like Modern Warfare 3. That was like right before Modern Warfare 3 came out.
Yeah.
They were like, okay, we got to make Verdansk. They haven't had that long realistically to work on Verdansk. And the current state of the game is not looking hot at all. Like at all. Ranked play is completely cooked in Warzone. So there's so many bugs.
Yeah, let's break this down. Let's talk in sort of layers of the onion that are all rotten, right? So you've got the issue with bugs, then you've got the issue with anti-cheat, right? And the hacking situation. And then I think there's sort of separately, there's the issue with the servers, right? Which is its own problem unto itself. So if we go one by one, would you say that the bugs thing, is that a Warzone specific issue, or is that just across like Warzone and multiplayer in Black Ops 6? You've seen that be really prevalent, or like just characterize what those sorts of bugs that you're seeing are for me so I can kind of get an understanding of why they're so problematic.
Okay, so I can tell you the ones that are definitely shared issues. When you create a class and then you load into the next game and then your class is gone and it's like whatever you had way before, that is still in Warzone. And it's frustrating because you load into a ranked game, you grab your loadout, you have something, you don't even like know where the class came from.
Yeah, for
and it's
ranked play,
that's
right? Crazy.
It's a competitive environment. Like it happened just now. I know they didn't fix it because right before I hopped on the call with you, I had a sniper on my class, won the game, queued up another game, the sniper's not even in my loadout anymore. So it's frustrating with the shared bugs.
For sure.
And multiplayer ranked play is the same thing. Dude, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was farming clips in ranked play and multiplayer because the game glitched out. And in my melee slot, I had a shotgun, and that's banned in ranked play, but I was able to use it in ranked play because it was bugged.
Right.
And it's like the integrity of Warzone and specifically ranked is so unserious because there's just so much random stuff that can happen. So bugs I can tell you in Warzone that are huge right now is I think it might be a solo issue. When you're playing alone and you come back, sometimes in resources like Rebirth Island, Area 99, you can't use a gun, you can't pick up a gun, you have nothing in your inventory, you have to back out. You just take it and back out. I had it happen 4 games in a row. And it's one of those things where like the average player isn't going to be patient enough to stick around long enough where they're going to want to deal with that stuff. You know, obviously for me, it's like, I make videos on it. I love it. I make videos on it. Other people have the free choice of, I don't want to do this. Why would I play this? Doesn't work. Another bug is you can't revive teammates sometimes. Again,
also a problem in zombies as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine you're playing ranked play. You can't revive your teammate. It's like, okay, cool. Guns randomly disappear. So like, let's say you accidentally drop your gun, say goodbye to your gun. It's nowhere to be found anymore. It's gone, thin air.
Wow.
The mantling has been a big issue. Mantling, even if you have auto mantle off, it'll mantle you. So like, let's say you're holding high ground, it'll randomly mantle you over the building and you just fly out the
trenches.
Building. Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
so that's been a huge problem.
Like, no.
Yeah. And I hate it because like I have content on how buggy the game is, and I hate that the video, I have a new video coming out. I have like 7 minutes of bugs. It should not be 7 minutes of bugs. And the clips are like 5 seconds. Like you're just seeing multiple bugs. Another bug that's been bad is blinking. The operator, like your operator will literally blink. Your game freezes for a second and your character blinks.
Oh, weird.
It happens a lot. You're mid gunfight, you blink, you freeze for a second, you come back, you're dead. I've had that happen a lot. So those are just a couple of the issues, but overall it's frustrating as a player who plays Warzone a lot to deal with this stuff. And it's like scary for Warzone, right? Because like when Warzone comes back, Verdansk. When Verdansk comes back, it's like, is the game going to be in a state that is going to make players happy? A lot of people stop playing after Verdansk. Like, I'm sure millions of people stop playing after Verdansk. Imagine they come back, the game's not working as it should be intended. Because
they're going to be like, this is chalks. Like, why would I keep going with it? Especially if you're the sort of person that, let's say you're at work, you get home, you've got an hour to play Call of Duty, and that's it, right? And then you have 4 bugs in a row where you can't even like shoot a gun or do anything. Like you back out, you're like, okay, I'm done. Why would I ever come back to this? Like this is a terrible experience, right?
Yes, and it's frustrating because the core game is good. Like Black Ops 6 and Warzone at the core, like guns, movement, it's good. It's not good when it doesn't work. When you're trying to do something and the game is physically not letting you do it, it feels like crap. It feels horrible. It feels terrible. I'm not even like trying to talk bad about the game because I genuinely enjoy it. I just wish it functioned at the level it should. And I'll give you some examples on ranked play. Dude, it took me like 40 minutes to play one ranked game because it would take forever to queue because no one's playing ranked play on big map because people are just not interested in Urzikstan. When I'd find a game, it would do this bug for one or either 2 of my teammates where your screen would flicker and it wouldn't put you in the game. And it's like, oh, okay, it kicks you out of the game in the pregame lobby because your squad's not full. And then if you're lucky to get enough in the game, you have to pray that a hacker doesn't crash servers. It took us 40 minutes to get into a game because we were dealing with this bug where we couldn't get into the game.
Yeah.
And then mid-game, a hacker crashed the server because he died. Like a hacker dies, they just crash the server.
Let's go on to that next.
It's unserious.
Yeah. So there's the bugs layer, which means that just even without any of these external issues like servers or hackers or whatever, it's still a wonky experience, right? And like for a game that's just sort of casual pubs, I could kind of give them a bit more like patience. I would have a bit more patience with that sort of thing because at the end of the day, like, okay, it's a pub, it's whatever, it's fine. But especially when that stuff starts creeping into ranked, and to be clear, it's not an excuse to say that they can sort of get away with it forever in the pubs, but the pressure is a little bit different, right? Compared to a ranked match, if you suddenly have like actual like SR on the line, if you're really grinding to try and climb a ladder or whatever, and you start having these bugs kick in, you're going to be like, I fundamentally can't trust the game right now. So why should I put my time into it and invest my time and my energy and my focus if the game is just going to like laugh at me? Like that's its own problem, right? So bugs, layer 1, top layer, sounds like they need to figure out something in their QA pipeline to sort that stuff out, right? That is like in theory, from the outside, not being a developer, that's a solvable problem. Like I imagine that with enough time, with enough patches, those kinks could hopefully, at least fingers crossed, get ironed out. But then we move down to the let's do which should we do next? Hackers or servers? What's the next layer deeper, would you say?
Well, hackers kind of control the servers right now, so I think
let's do hackers and then we can do the servers last. But yeah, let's do hackers next.
Well,
so what's the deal there?
I will say hackers are like actually a real problem right now. Even when I was just camo grinding for the Warzone match camo, I'm on casual like Rebirth Island. Dude, I'm getting aimbotted by like the same dude multiple games, and he's not banned. He doesn't get banned.
Right.
And I think it's silly because they do the thing where they shadow ban the hackers, but it's like if they know they're hacking, just ban them. Don't shadow ban them. Just ban them.
Is the shadow ban, because I've seen a lot of regular people over the last, let's say, like month being like, I'm banned in COD or I'm shadow banned and like there's a problem, but I've never hacked in my life, right? I've seen a lot of like false bans that have been happening, lots of false ban waves. So what's the difference between what those people are experiencing versus what the hackers are like not experiencing? Like, because I know that Ricochet does some stuff, which for people listening, that's the anti-cheat in Call of Duty. It does some stuff like, for example, you'll be detected as a hacker, but it will leave you in the game and you'll like not be able to shoot your gun, or it'll mean that you like can't damage other people. There's like things like that, right? That it does, or am I mistaken on that?
So I think it does that sometimes. I don't really know what they haven't really been doing that recently, I don't think. But basically, when you get shadow banned, it only puts you in lobbies with other people that are shadow banned.
Okay.
So I can tell you from personal, I can tell you from personal experience. So it was 2020. That's the only time I've ever been shadow banned on my like actual account. I was playing on Xbox. Keep in mind, I didn't even like have a PC that was good enough, or I did have a PC that was good enough to play COD, but that was like my editing PC. So I played on Xbox for all of Modern Warfare 2019. So the AS Val, it had a broken attachment where you could shoot through walls like they didn't exist. So you could just like shoot and it would do the same damage as if they were in front of you. So I thought it'd be funny. I had my friends with me. I'm like, oh, you guys use recon drones and scan them and I'll shoot them through the walls because it's funny. You're not doing anything exploiting. You're just putting attachment on. Shadow banned. I was on an Xbox. Shadow banned. Only lobbies I could get for a week straight were just people aimbotting each other in multiplayer.
Oh my God.
I think the shadow ban system is broken because I have a burner account I use to like troll my friends. Like whenever they're doing custom games, I'll like join undercover. So like, I have an account called Walnut Pants 12. It's like my undercover account. So it's a low level. It's only like level 12. So I joined my friend's private match and I was trolling his custom games. He's like, oh, you know, if you win my custom game, I'll give you a copy mono for 3. So I was, you know, doing it for content. I got spam reported by people in the game that I would kill, and it shadow banned me in a private Warzone match. I got shadow banned just because I'd kill somebody. Oh, I don't want him to win. I don't want him to win the copy mono for 3. Spam reported, banned, literally banned, and it happened 2 times on the same account. The other time it happened, I was trolling another friend in private match, and I got spam reported and I got shadow banned on the burner account. So it's like the shadow ban system, it doesn't even like have to take in account of any software you're using or anything. It is player reports they trust. They go, okay, I trust this guy, banned. And it's stupid because, you know, I've been playing Plunder to camo grind, and Plunder is full of players who don't play that much because like it's more of a casual experience. It's like you collect cash to win. It's not battle royale. It's collect cash, circles and close. Dude, I was getting called a cheater for just simply shooting somebody. Like, I wouldn't even be hitting all my shots. I'd be shooting them. A level 15, you're getting reported. It's like, why do we trust people with reporting tools that don't play the game enough to spot a cheater? Because I can spot a cheater instantly. And I know when someone's cheating because I play a lot. I can recognize when something's out of the ordinary. But it's like anybody has reporting tools, and it sucks because you have people that literally won on land the World Series of Warzone, people that won in person, invited by Activision. They're not even protected from getting shadow banned. Like they're trying to grind ranked play on Warzone, they can't because they're shadow banned, and they won money on the main stage, and it's like no one's safe. And then on top of that, the voice chat bans are the worst system I've ever seen.
What's the deal with those? Because I've seen so many people complain about those as well.
Okay, so people think like, someone will say, oh my God, I got voice chat banned for no reason. And I'll see people on Twitter reply to the person, there's not no reason. You were saying something racist, blah, blah, blah. It's not even like that. You can literally cuss and get chat banned. I had it happen to me. It happened to me. I said F you to this guy that was saying F you to me. I loaded my next game. I'm chat banned. And it's what's crazy is Activision, the people that go out to these events that they invite, they're not even protected from getting chat banned. People that rely on that content, like this guy named J2 Broski. He's a cool guy. He makes awesome content. His content is voice chat, and he's invited by Activision to COD Next in-person events, and he still gets chat banned for 31 days, and then now he can't make content. He's just sitting there, can't do it. You don't even have to say anything bad, and you get in trouble. You can say "F you." The operators in the game, they say "F you" to each other. They call each other the B word. You know, they say bitch, they say anything. They say things. You're playing a war game. You commit war crimes with takedowns. But if the player says it over the microphone, you're gone, and it kills the experience because you go into these search and destroy games. A lot of people don't want to talk. They don't want to talk to each other because someone could report somebody and they could get banned.
Right. And you just risk the ban.
Really killed. Yeah, and for me personally, that's why I've kind of pivoted towards Warzone content only because multiplayer content, no one talks. It's like not fun. I don't play Call of Duty. Specifically, I don't play multiplayer to try hard every game. I play for the interactions and to have fun talking to people. That's how you gain memories, right? Like I can think all the way to Black Ops 2 when I was a kid, Call of Duty Ghost, Advanced Warfare, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops 1. I can think about all these good memories from talking to people in the game. I don't remember the core gameplay that was happening over the years. I remember the interactions I had. And the voice chat AI, it's an AI system. That's what it is. They have an AI monitoring it, and that's what's killing the voice chat of the game. If the game's trash, that's fine as long as the game chat works. If the game chat's good, I don't care about how trash the game is. That's the thing. It could be the worst game on the planet. If the game chat is fun, I'll still play it. Right. It doesn't matter how good it is if the game chat's good.
So that's
the problem.
That's almost an extra problem, right? So we've got bugs, then we've got the bans issue in itself. Part of the issue is that they're not banning people that they need to ban, and then another part of that issue is that they are banning people that shouldn't be being banned in various ways.
Yeah.
But then on top of all of that, you have all these hackers in the first place, right? So like the fact that there are this many people out there that need to even be shadow banned is a problem, regardless of what you're doing with them. Just the fact that they exist in the first place, that's an issue, right? And so I watched Swag's video just before we recorded here, and Swag was saying that in his estimation, about 40% of his games have a hacker in right now. Is that more or less in line with what you're seeing? Like that frequent, you're getting hackers that often, like every 3 or 4 games, you're definitely seeing a hacker amongst all those games?
So I'll explain it perfectly. So I don't have it as frequently as him because in ranked play, I just started playing ranked play. I've only come across a hacker one time. That was when I first started. That's because I'm a lower rank. I'm only gold 2 right now in ranked play because I was camo grinding, all these things. So he's iridescent. He's top 121 in the world right now on the leaderboard.
Okay.
So you're gonna commonly run into hackers when you're way higher on the leaderboards because that's where the hackers are. If they're aimbotting everybody in the lower ranks,
that makes sense.
Using wall hacks, they're gonna have more SR. They're gonna win games. They're gonna consistently go higher up. I have not experienced it in ranked play only one time. That's when they crashed it. Rebirth Island is where I experienced it, but not as frequently. But if you are a top player in the ranked play, if you're Crimson, Iridescent, top 250, you will experience so many cheaters where the experience is fake. It's a fake experience. You're not playing ranked play. It's so fake. It's a fake experience right now. It's a joke. And I can't believe they launched ranked play with season 1 because anyone could have seen this from a mile away that this was going to happen. They're about to go out on the holidays. They probably already are.
Yeah.
The game's being hacked on. They said they don't even have the kernel level drivers installed for the anti-cheat. And they said, oh, it'll come in season 2. That's like February. That's February. The game's not going to last till February. People don't want to make content in the game, especially for ranked play. They can't make content. It's February is crazy.
Yeah.
Considering that we're in December right now. We're midway through December and we're not getting the anti-cheat till February.
And they said season 2 or season 3, right? I believe that the article you're referring to.
Or 3. So it's like, we don't even know if it'll come in February. Yeah, it could come so late. And it's like, why would anyone want to put their time into a ranked experience if it's not an authentic experience? You don't play, let's think about other games here, like Counter-Strike. If you knew that half your games are going to be cheaters, you're not going to put your time into Counter-Strike. Valorant, same thing. You're not going to put your time into competitive games if the integrity is not competitive. The integrity is so bad, average player thinks everybody's cheating. You know, you get a good player like me who kills an average player, he's cheating.
Right.
You have these YouTube channels that literally monetize a brain rot audience by just accusing people of cheating because the integrity is that bad. Anyone can believe, oh, Swag's cheating. That guy's won LAN tournaments. He's He's been a Call of Duty player dedicated since Modern Warfare 3, the original one. He's been a content creator on Call of Duty. He blew up on Black Ops 4. He's been here for 6+ years full time making content. Call of Duty World War II. And people think he's cheating just because of the integrity of the game. He's won on LAN tournaments, big amount of money, and people think he's cheating because the integrity of the game is so bad.
Yeah, I think that's
ridiculous.
It's something that other games do a pretty decent job of, to be honest. Like, as much as like Valorant isn't my favorite game in the world by any means, CS isn't my favorite game in the world by any means. I've put a decent amount of time into both of them, probably a bit more CS than Valorant.
Yeah.
But and also, to be clear, I've never had any sort of professional aspiration in those games. I've just played them for fun, right? But while playing those games, I know that there are people out there that play as casually as I do, but then they get hooked on that experience and they end up grinding like crazy and try and compete. They try and go pro. Like, they try and go through that path because they feel like the game actually supports that, right? Like, the game has an ecosystem in place where you realistically could go from somebody like me to being on stage at Worlds or in a major or whatever. Like, that's actually a conceivable idea. But with this hacking situation, if every single time you're beaten in a gunfight and all you've been hearing from all the people around you and from all these content creators and blah, blah, blah is all their games are filled with hackers, because they are. Like, Swag's games are probably 40% filled with hackers. It's probably every 3 games he does get a hacker, right? If that's what you're hearing, you're going to be like, well, maybe I just died to a hacker as well. So straight away, you're going to start passing that off as like, well, it's just an unfair experience. Boo, I'm out, I'm done, right? But then simultaneously, when you start climbing the leaderboards, if you do still actually get good, despite that environment being kind of corrupt and not being an environment that would actually propel you to being a better player, but if you do it regardless, then you will start facing the hackers. It's like, what is this? Is busted. And the fact that Call of Duty over the last decade has invested so much in this idea of being a better player, right? Like, they've really tried to make the CDL a thing. They've poured so much money into CDL promotion in various forms. And for that to be one of Call of Duty's like proudest little babies is that, this competitive mode in our game. And then for the entire pipeline towards competitive play to be so rotten, that's crazy. That is just crazy at its outset. But then on top of all that stuff, not only is the hacking an issue, not only is there a lack of kernel level anti-cheat, which is coming at some miscellaneous point in the future, not only is that going to be so late in the game's life cycle at that point that a lot of those early players that were jumping on Black Ops 6 and enjoying the movement and enjoying the gunplay, they're going to have been burned by this really bad experience of bugs and hackers, and they're going to have just left. So that's its own problem. And who knows if Verdansk ends up getting caught up in that as well, and there's just rampant hacking on Verdansk, then the whole thing is fried if that happens. But beyond all of those things, there's still the servers, right? Which are their own problem. And I've talked to Tactical Brit about this quite a bit. We were planning to have him actually come on the podcast and talk about it just before Citadel Day More came out, but then I got busy with the DLC. But just give me a high-level overview of what the server problem is as well, because I've seen Nadeshot talking about this, Tactical Brit's talking about it a lot. Basically everyone. I feel like everyone has run into this server problem in this game in a bigger way maybe than they've really felt in previous Call of Duties.
Okay, I'll tell you. I just also want to add to the ranked experience as well with the hacking thing. I've been playing a lot of ranked multiplayer. Yeah, and I'm only Diamond 2 right now because I've been solo queuing. A lot of times when I'm losing, my teammates will just assume they're hacking and they just give up, and I feel like that also adds to the experience. But the servers, huge deal. So I can tell you for ranked play and multiplayer, I've lost games that are really tight. Like, it's 5-5, search and destroy. One round left. I've lost games because out of nowhere it lags and it's like a randomized gunfight. And it's like, bam, you lose. Okay, that's stupid. Warzone. Oh my gosh, the servers, dude, it lags so bad sometimes. And the problem with Warzone is the hit detection. Yeah. Severely off. They tried to say, Call of Duty got community noted on that tweet saying, oh, the blood splatters are not real. Like, you're not actually hitting the player.
Let me give context on this, just for people that don't know what the situation is. Basically, people were just shooting people, right? So like you had streamers that would just be beaming people in their lobbies, and blood would be appearing on people that they were shooting, but there'd be no hit marker, no hit detection, no damage being done. It would just be blood coming out of their character. So everyone was like, well, I'm clearly hitting them. The game knows I'm hitting them. Why is it not registering damage? But then Call of Duty tried to tweet out and pass it off as, oh, actually, you're just not hitting them. And it's like, wait, hold on, what? And they were like, yeah, it's just the blood is showing up in scenarios where it shouldn't show up. But it's like, wait, you can't be telling me that when I'm beaming this person's body and blood is coming out because the game knows I should be hitting them, the problem is that I'm wrong and actually I'm just missing. Like, that is not the issue. The problem is that the server thinks I'm missing when I'm hitting them, right? And Call of Duty like refused to acknowledge that for some weird reason. So, sorry, that was the context on that. Just for people that were confused.
They got community noted too. Like they got community noted saying, "Oh, hey, you're wrong. It's a server issue," because it is. And I have so many. I mean, I could probably share the clips because you're gonna put this in a video. I can share you clips. I am point blank aiming at their center mass, and I shoot them, and you see the blood fly out. Nothing, no hit markers, anything.
Right.
And it consistently happens. Like when you play the game a lot, like me, I can tell you right now, I have like. On Modern Warfare 3 Warzone, on Resurgence, I have like 30 days played in game. Like if you go on my combat record, it says like 30 days. I play a lot. I can feel visually and I can feel when the game has something wrong. So like before like this whole blood splatter thing came out, I have clips where like, I'm like, dude, I swear I just shot this guy. Like I swear like I'm hitting this guy. And I see blood, like I'm not crazy. And that's what it is. It's a server issue because I will be shooting somebody multiple times and it won't count. And another issue too is you get shot around corners sometimes. You could be well around a corner and you die. And on the death cam, you're not around that corner yet when you die. So there's a huge desync issue that is making gunfights randomized sometimes. Like I could tell you right now, Modern Warfare 3, I could easily get, I don't 2-box by the way, I don't like do like any skill-based matchmaking altering things. I could drop 30, 40 kills because the experience is so spot on with Modern Warfare 3 Warzone. It's so crisp, spot on.
Like it's
everything
reliable.
Works right. Yeah, reliable. Black Ops 6, dude, it's like I'm struggling in one-on-one gunfights sometimes just because it doesn't register correctly. It doesn't work correctly. And that's where server issues come into play as well with hackers is they lose SR. Oh, I lost SR, which is like how, points to like SR's points in ranked play. I lost SR because I died early on. Let me crash the server so it doesn't count.
Yeah, and so they can just take a server down mid-match? Is that what's happening there?
Yeah, they send packets to the server, I think it is. And then, all 116 other people that are still in that game,
right?
They get kicked out, booted out, bye. Go to the next game. Everything you just did, queuing in the game, you dropped in, you got your loadout, you rotated with your team, you're getting kills, you're playing the game, you're communicating, you're doing everything you should be doing in a competitive environment. Okay, memory wiped, go back, nothing changed. You can restart your game and hope it doesn't happen again.
Right.
That happens over and over again. Swag has a clip of that. They're in end game. They're versing like the last team or last few teams or whatever it is. Hacker, they killed a hacker. They're like, oh yeah, we killed the hacker, let's go. 2 seconds later, everyone starts teleporting around, server crashes. That 100 SR you just gained, nope, you just lost all of that. You don't gain anything.
Right.
Try again.
And so that makes even more sense why people like Swag see a disproportionately large number of hackers in the games, because not only do the hackers have hacks to aimbot and they've got walls and like all that sort of stuff so they can climb out of those low ranks easy because they can just take everyone down, but then also anytime where they would lose a match, well, they're not going to lose because they can just end the server. So they just have like a win streak of like 100 games in a row. And obviously that's going to mean that you're going to end up grinding through those ranks and you're going to get to Swag's level. So it makes sense that that's why they're so sort of densely populated in that area. Because I have seen some people be like, oh, Swag's just imagining it. It's not actually a real problem or whatever, because it doesn't affect every single person in the more casual ranks. But clearly it's still a problematic thing. Like just because it's less frequent at those lower ranks doesn't mean that it's not affecting the integrity of the whole game, which sounds like it's basically just corrupted it from the lowest of the casual ranks where people could just randomly have walls as they're beginning their ascent through to those higher ranks, or they just think that there's hackers in there because the integrity is busted everywhere else in the chain, then all the way through to the very top of the stack, I guess.
Yeah, and so to add on to that, what's frustrating too, especially for Swag, so SR, it's like points in ranked play, it's 10,000 SR to hit the maximum rank. That's not top 250. So the higher you get, the more SR you lose it's a deployment fee. So for swag, he drops in, okay, he starts at a negative 100 whatever points. And each kill is like 7, 8, 9 SR, right? So it's like he has to climb his way out of the negatives. And if he dies to a hacker, 100 points down the drain, 120 points down the drain immediately. It's like he could have worked 2 games, 3 games to gain that little SR and then lose all of it instantly to a cheater. And that's why he's so frustrated with that. And that's why it's not a great experience for sure, is because it's like you just spent 40 minutes of your life getting that SR and you lost it because the guy's using aimbots he bought on Discord.
Yeah, I see so many screenshots. Like, there was a thing today where hackers can now give you perks with like new abilities or something that aren't even in the game, but they can just give you like crazy stuff.
Yeah, so those abilities, those are in the game, not from anything that you can just put on. So it's from this game mode called Lockdown.
Oh.
It was for Vondel. It was for Modern Warfare 3 Warzone. So Vondel, it was kind of like it was like on the resurgence map, but it was hard point.
Okay.
With multiple hard points. So like there could be like 6, 7, 8 hard points around the map. And you're playing hard point, but you're playing it in Warzone. And there were like little special abilities. Like, oh, you could see like people through walls, like with a red outline, or like you could sprint faster. It was like little abilities that kind of made it just like a fun experience with people that don't like Battle Royale or Resurgence.
Yeah.
And so that's why they were able to implement that. It's from the lockdown mode. So that's why it's in the game.
Right. Because I've also seen someone get the beam smasher from Terminus in
Warzone.
So like clearly they're just pulling stuff from everywhere because they can, I guess.
Yeah, well, the thing is too about that is that's what kind of sucks about that idea of like, oh, we're integrating on one engine, is you get people that can literally do whatever they want. I'll tell you right now, this dude that Activision targets a lot, I've tried telling them like, hey, this guy you target a lot, he tries to tell you guys about the issues before he makes it public. I like DM people at Activision, I'm like, hey, like, he just showed me you can do this in the game. He wants me to pass the information to you guys. He doesn't want to make it public.
So, okay, sorry, help me understand. This is a person that is tweaking with the game code?
This is a notorious person that tweaks with the game. This guy has had the ray gun in multiplayer ranked play. He's used the jet gun in Warzone, the ray gun in Warzone, the beam smasher. Before he made any of this public, I would literally DM Activision and be like, hey, like, he doesn't want to make this public. He wants you guys to like fix this. And like, he's pretty private. He's just telling me. And I try to pass the information, and then they don't do anything with it. And then he makes it public, and then that's when it goes out to everybody. And I just want to make it clear, because I know Activision probably watching this. I don't have any affiliation with this dude. He just DMs me randomly. Yeah. And I just look at the DMs because it's entertaining. I don't tweak at the game code, but he tries to help. And he even publicly tweets like, hey, can someone from Activision contact me so I can show you a game-breaking bug? The situation where people were getting banned by cheaters, like there was an exploit recently, right before Black Ops 6 was integrated. There was literally an exploit that affected Bobby Poff and other people. Hackers were banning people's accounts because of an exploit.
Yeah, the Bobby Poff thing, I saw a clip of him saying he'd been banned, and then I saw a lot of people just clowning him, being like, well, it wasn't a false ban, you're just a hacker, so like L Bobby or whatever, right? So was the resolution of that a hacker was the one that banned him?
Yeah, so people that think he's actually was cheating, excuse my language, they're fucking idiots. Because that guy, anyone that knows Bobby Poff, dude, he freaking uses mouse and keyboard, and he uses a fire shotgun all day. Like, he just uses fire shotguns. He uses a sniper and a fire shotgun, because if you're mouse and keyboard, the best thing you can use is a shotgun. So he just uses the shotgun, the haymaker, whatever it's called, and he just played Big Map all day, and then he's banned. Activision literally were like, cut all communications with him, try to like, completely be like, yeah, like you're banned, like we found something. And then it comes out that people were actually banning like streamers and stuff. Like hackers found a way to exploit.
Did he get unbanned?
A certain he's unbanned. Everybody got unbanned that were affected by that.
Oh my God.
And no apology, no, hey, sorry, like we basically just ruined your reputation for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the guy, like I've never spoken to him, but I saw just little bits of that story coming out, and I was sitting here, and like for someone that's not plugged into that story, for the outcome to be that I thought that he was a hacker, like That is proof that there is reputational damage there that he does not deserve, clearly. So that's, it's actually insane that they didn't apologize, or they didn't like say something to put his account standing into good standing publicly. Do you know what I mean? Just to like clear the air because they made a mistake. But wow. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure all they said, I mean, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure all they told him was that he's banned from events after like that happened. They just told him like, hey, like you're banned from everything. And
he's still banned from events now?
Well, I mean, he might be unbanned now. I don't know. But I think that's what happened was like, they were like, yeah, like, sorry, like you're done. And then it was like, oh shit. Like, I think that's what he said. I someone was talking about that. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, like it's all just a joke right now. Like everything with Warzone's a joke. And it really does suck because you have hive mind people that think he's like legitimately cheating still today. Like if you go on his YouTube channel, I bet you could watch a new video and people are like, oh, no way this guy's still playing after he got caught cheating. Stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay, so
and yeah, it's just sad.
I mean, it's wild, really. Hearing how many layers of the onion are not working right now. They're either lacking that integrity because of the hackers, or they're just not functioning properly because of the bugs, or there's desync between your screen and what the server is thinking because the servers suck and the server tick rates are too low and all these things. Like it's actually crazy just how deep it goes. And it's especially crazy because in zombies, for the most part, and like, you know full well, and everyone listening knows full well, I'm not the guy to like bootlick Activision ever. That's not my MO. Yeah. But for the most part, Black Ops 6 Zombies has been pretty stable. Certainly in contrast to like Black Ops 4, for instance, I was I feel like my Black Ops 4 vocal expression of dislike about bugs and crashing and issues and poor QA, etc., and lack of accountability is exactly what the MP Warzone people are experiencing now. It's basically the same deal where people are like, I'm going to have to quit playing the game. Like, I'm just going to play other games for the next couple of months. Like, it's not necessarily a boycott, but it's more or less just like I can't participate in this because the game does not allow me to. Like, it doesn't function. So how am I meant to, right? So there's definitely parallels there. But for Black Ops 6 Zombies, it's been mostly smooth. Like, there's a few areas that do need improvement. Number one, a lot of people have complained to me about split screen. They say that that's really just sort of busted and doesn't work properly. If you have really bad internet, then yes, you're going to run into issues where you fall through the floor in the map sometimes and stuff like that. And that has happened to me a couple of times as well. But even then, because we have save quit now, in like, I think more than half of those scenarios where my game should have completely sort of ruined my experience because it broke in some way, it's actually restored it for me, so it hasn't been ruined. So I think they've built quite a lot of goodwill there, but the problem for Black Ops 6 Zombies that does still persist from previous games, and this also applies to what happened in Black Ops 4, is their communications, in my opinion, suck ass. I think that they are really bad at basically acknowledging when there's a problem and then saying, we hear you, we're working on a fix, here's when the fix is going to come, here's things we can do in between. Like, let's all be on the same page about this so that the community feels listened to, right? And it seems like with Ricochet and with Anti-Cheat and everything there, they did an announcement basically saying, okay, we hear you that like we missed the mark, right? I'm pretty sure they said we missed the mark on the release of Ricochet Anti-Cheat with ranked play in Black Ops 6, and we've banned like 20,000 accounts or something, right? Like they said something like that, and they were like, and we're going to turn up our Anti-Cheat or something, right? And then nothing changed. Like everybody's experience was the exact same, and so the community is like, it feels like you're being gaslit because the devs are being like, we've made your experience better, believe us. And then you play the game and it's just as bad. And the devs are like, no, we fixed the problem. And it's like, where is the disconnect happening here? So do you feel like, is there stuff that they could do from a comms perspective, specifically with regards to Anti-Cheat or just in general, to at least help build some community goodwill going forwards? Or at this point, is the fundamental game so busted that the only thing that's actually going to change anything for the better, like constructively, is just action, fixing all of the bugs, paying for better servers so they're not 20 tick servers anymore, but instead they're whatever, just higher tick, some increase to the tick rate, and also just making sure that the kind of level Anti-Cheat comes ASAP? Like, is there goodwill to build from comms, or do they just have to act at this point? It's just too far gone.
I personally think that the goodwill should be coming from making a game that's fun. So when there is a problem, like if they're being fair with the fan base and there's a problem, I don't feel like it's as big of as an issue. Like Modern Warfare 3 definitely had issues, but like the consistency with the new content, the events every week that had like, you know, blueprints, camos, anything like that. I think that really with Modern Warfare 3, they built a strong community with that of like, okay, like, yeah, you guys f***ed up. Like, this is like, you know, at least you guys are doing really good overall. Right now, it's like, they aren't doing anything correctly with the MP and Warzone side. Like, multiplayer people don't like the maps. People,
I've seen a lot
do
of
not
that.
like the maps. Yeah, unless it's like a remaster, which is fine, but it's like, you know, they're not releasing enough remasters. The events are pretty lacking compared to Modern Warfare 3. Like, the events now are like AI crap that no one wants, loading screens, and like they're locking guns behind community events now, which I think is stupid unless you buy a bundle, right? Like you buy a bundle, you get it immediately. I think that they need to build the base to be fair and fun for people, so that when they mess up, it's like, oh, it's okay, you messed up. Like the game's overall just a great experience. It's okay, like figure it out. Like we're having fun still. Modern Warfare 3, dude, Warzone was so good for Modern Warfare 3. Like it was. We were eating good. Like it was like, oh, here you got 3 resurgence maps. You know, we're leasing aftermarket parts, the black market parts, whatever, the 3D printed like attachments that like completely changed a gun. Like you could put an attachment on a gun, it would make the gun feel completely different. It was like so fun and refreshing because it's like, oh yeah, there's these issues, but like it's fun because like you guys are doing all these new things all the time. And it's like those issues are kind of like a little bit on the side for the Warzone, but now it's like Warzone, we don't really get any content with Warzone. We didn't get a new big map. We got Area 99, which is not really a fan favorite. People aren't really like digging into Area 99. We have Rebirth, which is great, but it's like people are kind of getting sick of Rebirth, I feel like. And Rebirth's full of bugs. The ranked experience is full of hackers. The game's buggy. So it's like there's no forgiveness right now because it's not like the game's awesome and there's a little bit of issues. It's like the game's not fun at all for a lot of people. I hear game chat's broken right now. So like prox chat's been broken since the launch. You hear random people talking. Every time I hear someone talking randomly in game chat, they're just like, dude, this isn't fun. This isn't fair. Like, this game feels
Maybe that's
fake.
why it's broken.
Yeah, like, everyone in game chat's just like, dude, I'm not having fun with this. Like, this game's pissing me off. And it's like, when you have a bunch of issues and then a new issue is introduced, there's no forgiveness. The comms don't do anything because realistically, the people playing every day, they're not paying attention to the COD updates account. No one's looking at that. That's playing every day.
Yeah.
It's what they're experiencing in the game. So if the game's awesome and hackers come along, it's like, okay, like it sucks hackers are here, but the game's awesome. So like, please just figure out the hackers. Right now, it's like the game sucks and the hackers just ruin it even more. And that's kind of what I feel like it was Verdansk. Like people, dude, Verdansk was the golden era for Warzone. Like Modern Warfare 2019 Warzone, everyone's like, dude, that was so awesome. People don't really remember how bad the hacking was in that game. It was bad, but people don't really remember it because the game itself was so awesome.
Right.
That the running into the cheaters wasn't as frustrating because at least you were having a good time overall.
Yeah.
Versus now, it's like, oh my God, bro, I died because like I come back with no gun and the next game I killed by a hacker. So they need to like seriously get the game in a spot where it's at least fun. So when people run into cheaters, it's like, all right, like, yeah, I got cheated on, but like the game's fun. But it's not like that right now. Everything is just messed up. And I feel bad for casual players too, also with the shadow banning stuff. Because it's like, you know, creators have connections to get unshadow banned. I feel bad for the average player who can't get unshadow banned.
Especially if you've been buying
are stuck in
like loads of COD points and bundles, and then you just lose it. It's like,
yeah. So I think the communication's not really doing anything, and they need to take action, make the game fun, and take action on the cheating. Because when they've been hyping up this like this Ricochet thing since Vanguard.
Yeah.
Like they're like, oh, Caldera's launching with the anti-cheat. Did nothing for the whole year. We got into Modern Warfare 2, same story. I'm freaking playing Ashika Island. I'm getting aimbotted over and over again. Oh, we promised the anti-cheat's gonna work. I will say with Modern Warfare 3, there was a huge like decrease in cheaters.
Okay.
Because they'd get banned. You could watch a kill cam get aimbotted, report them. They'd get out of the game right there, gone. You'd see their name ricochet. I honestly, the hacker situation was not that bad with MW3. It was like, okay, thank God they're out of the game. The same game I reported them. And now it's like, dude, you report them, nothing happens. They die. They queue their next game. I literally watched someone. I've watched a hacker die in my game. I session joined him afterwards. Dude's already queuing in the next game.
Right.
It's like they need to get the core game where it needs to be, and they need to actually take action with the anti-cheat where running into cheaters is rare, because right now nothing's working.
So Okay, so that means Modern Warfare 3 at least partially had some kind of solutions figured out. I wouldn't say like it was gonna last forever, because ultimately those hackers are gonna just find new ways to do things, and with the COD app being what it is now, like COD HQ being this one unified engine, etc., like that means that there's just full focus on trying to break one thing apart, and when they do that, they've got free reign, right? So I don't imagine that the Modern Warfare 3 solutions would have lasted forever, but they made some inroads there, it sounds like, so that's positive. But
yeah, I just want to chime in here. Sorry. Also, it wasn't even for like a ranked play again. It wasn't even like the hackers were still bad. There were people that cheated, like blatantly aimbotting.
Yeah.
And they sat on top 250 for days, weeks. Like some people legitimately ended the season in top 250 because they were hacking.
Right.
So like the casual experience, the hacking wasn't that bad, but like ranked play still has been like bad. Okay. And the thing is, we talked to the ex-Treyarch dev on a different podcast with Repulse. He was like telling us like, yeah, they could easily monitor like the top 250. Like they can easily monitor like who's on there.
Yeah,
and it's crazy,
not many
they can
accounts.
easily do it, but yeah, and it's really easy to tell when someone's cheating. Like when someone's name is literally promoting their Discord, and they're in top 250, it's like it should be so obvious that they're cheating if they're in top 250 promoting a Discord.
Yeah.
Because they're promoting cheats, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, it wasn't completely saluted, but a little bit better than now.
Yeah, a little bit of progress in Modern Warfare 3, but even regardless of that still having ranked issues back then, that was all wiped away by the reintegration of the game this year, right? Like that was what we were saying at the beginning. Like they lost the little progress that they had made. And so I guess the sort of question it kind of comes down to is there going to be a point, is there ever going to be a point where Call of Duty meaningfully loses revenue because of these problems, such that they actually decide, okay, the next time we release something, it's not going to be busted, and instead it's going to be ready for release and it's actually going to work, right? Because right now, just being candid about their business model, they don't need to do that, because we buy the game anyway, and then we buy the Mastercrafts, bundles, COD points, etc. anyway, and we kind of just deal with whatever we have that year. Like that is the sort of flow that a given random player might go through each year. Is they'll buy the game at launch, they'll play it however they play it, whatever, and then they'll tap in for various big updates, like maybe a Verdansk update in March or something next year, and then they'll just buy the next game next year. They're not going to necessarily be like, COD was so broken last year, I'm not going to buy it next year. Like that's not a thing that I see happening very frequently. I'm sure it does happen, but just not super often, because Call of Duty is still the number 2 most sold game on the planet this year, for example, right?
Yeah.
So with that in mind, they have no real business incentive to do a better job than they're already doing, because a better job would be a more expensive job. And what would be the outcome of that? Well, they're still going to be top 1 or top 2 most sold game of the year every single year. So do we just need to keep yapping on podcasts like this and just at least drawing attention to the issue and hoping that there's people at Activision and at Treyarch and Sledgehammer and Raven and Infinity Ward that have enough integrity to want to solve the problems, and that they can petition their bosses internal at the company to be like, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Exec, I need a check that's twice as big this year so I can actually invest in the anti-cheat and make it work? Or like, are we just screwed? Like, how do we proceed?
Well, it's never going to change for a lot of reasons, because first off, people are going to still buy the game every year.
Yeah.
People are not actively engaging on the side of knowing the problems as much as everyone thinks. Like social media, like a lot of people that are playing Call of Duty, they aren't engaging in the conversation of what's wrong with the game. Like for example, me, like when Call of Duty Ghost came out, I was 13. I didn't have social media. I thought Ghost was so awesome. You look now, people don't like Call of Duty Ghost. So it's like the average player isn't participating as much in the conversation of what's wrong with the game. Bundles are never going to stop being bought because, people want to buy bundles. It is what it is. It's a gaming thing. Like Fortnite, same way.
Yep.
Every Call of Duty's been the same way. Creators are still going to go to events. They can say how bad the game is, but at the end of the day, creators are still going to go to events that Activision hosts. If you get rid of one creator that's going to go to an event, like going, oh, look how awesome this is, someone else is going to fill that hole. So no matter what's going on, there's always going to be people participating in Call of Duty at large amounts. But at the same time, it's like Fortnite, look at Fortnite, they love their player base. They do really awesome events. They brought back OG Fortnite. They have a lot of creator freedom. They have creator codes. People get paid to build maps in Unreal Engine.
The lack of creator codes in this game is crazy to me. Like, yeah. I mean, that's a whole conversation of the way that Activision interfaces with creators in general is so much less efficient and less powerful than it could be, in my view. Like, I feel like they've got like free firepower that they don't shoot. It's like they've just got ammo sitting on the back shelf and they're just like, nah.
Well, they don't have to, because it's like, I'll give you a perspective here for a majority of people. So COD creators, right? You get invited to a Call of Duty event, you get the free little $50 baskets that they send into the mail for every season. New season comes out, you get a $50 basket. You're going to promote that for free because you're excited to be involved. And so they have no reason to do creator codes or involve any of that, because you're going to promote the product either way. You get a dollar, they send you a $30 basket, and you're going to promote the game to your audience with the little basket you got, because it's free. It's free for them. And if they did care as much as Fortnite, I feel like the player base would be bigger, because Fortnite is still peaking its player count. 14 million people on it once. Yeah. Because they take care of their community. I wish they would do that, because I feel like there would be more of a positive result from doing that. Yeah, I think they really, it's felt for many years like Activision's, I think its biggest problem is how big it is, right? It's this big, sprawling, giant thing. And it's got focus on, it was Activision Blizzard King, right? So it's got focus on World of Warcraft over here and Call of Duty over there and this over there. Like, so that in itself means that it's difficult, because you're going to need to get corporate sign off and approval for the really big decisions from all the way at the top. But then those decisions might trickle down to affect other entire games, potentially. Whereas at least Epic is just like, we make Fortnite and we make Fortnite well, right? So they can basically just make those decisions based on what Fortnite needs. So that's maybe one area where they have some wiggle room to do stuff. But I think within that as well, Fortnite has recognized that if you inject creator codes, for example, into the system, and you really try and big up creators as well, like you really try and platform them and catapult your creators to be as big as you possibly can, what that means is that those creators are already your spokespeople, let's say, for the game, your sort of accidental spokespeople just by enjoying the game and being super fans. But they can then start doing things like, for example, in Fortnite, people build entire businesses around making custom maps for Fortnite, so that the player base has more stuff to do, and then their business is successful because there's actually a revenue stream there for them to make it successful, and Epic benefits because then the players are having fun, right? So it's just like buying skins.
And they're buying skins. It's a flywheel that they can only start if those creators are part of their planning, whereas with Activision and with Call of Duty specifically, there is literally none of that. I think they had creator codes at one point. I never got one. I think
Warzone 1. I didn't get one either in Warzone 1.
Yeah,
I was averaging 1 million views a video, but they were super selective. Like,
but that's the thing.
They were very, very
so
selective.
Weird.
That was kind of weird.
Yeah, like it's always this weird, like we want to reward certain people, but only like the people that we really like. And then it's like, well, why do you really like those people? And why do you want to limit the amount that you're rewarding the people that are promoting the game? Like it just doesn't make any sense. It's bad business. It's objectively bad business. But they continue to do that anyway. And I think that in a scenario like now, it's frustrating because I'm here and I'm like, how can I sort of lend my voice towards putting pressure on Activision in the right way, right, in a constructive way, to try and affect some positive change here? And I honestly think even if we did some crazy magic trick and let's say like 100,000 people didn't buy Call of Duty next year because they watched Hunter MrRoflWaffles collab where we were like, boo Call of Duty, right? Let's say something silly like that happened. 100,000 people didn't buy it. I think they would look at that and they'd be like, meh. Like, I don't think they care. I mean, because the game sales, ultimately, that we're going to be able to actually steer and make a difference on are never, ever, ever going to eat into the random generic person who buys Call of Duty and plays it for an hour once a week and doesn't know that YouTube exists. You know what I mean?
I feel like us talking here is more just to relate to people so they understand like this isn't just a them issue. It's like a game issue because, you know, it's probably frustrating when someone's sitting there like, dude, how does this even happen to me in the game? And then you watch a podcast like, oh shit, like it's not just me. Like I think there's more just this conversation's more just for people to understand they're not having these problems by themselves. You know? And a lot of people think like I'm trash at the game, bro. Like I was just good like a month ago at Warzone. Like I'm bad now. It's not even like them. It's just the game's not functioning correctly.
Yeah. And so, I've had it even recently with zombies bugs where I'll mention a zombies bug and someone will be like, oh my God, I died last night when this happened to me. And I thought that I messed up. But actually I've realized it's the game messing up. Thank you for like making me feel heard in that way. So I'm trying to do.
This is what this is for. Yeah.
Do that at the very least.
Like talking. I'm not here to trash Call of Duty or Activision because I love the game. I'm one of the super fans. Like I love the game. I just wish it was fun and fair. And on the topic of just, you know, the game itself, one thing I really think they're missing the mark with that is affecting the game overall for Warzone specifically, because we're talking about Warzone here. There's no storyline that's building towards the maps and updates. So Verdansk, Warzone, they had a whole storyline going with that. It was the coolest thing ever. It was like you could follow the story. Even if you weren't that involved, you knew what was going on. The nuke, they teased the nuke for so long and it was so cool. If you look at season 5 of Verdansk, they blew up the stadium roof. There's a story behind that. It's like, oh, Shadow Company is coming to Verdansk. Bam, the stadium opens up. That was the greatest update for Verdansk ever, was when they blew the stadium open and we had a new playing field. The stadium was this big open playing field. You had a garage, you had first floor, second story, you had the roof, you had like the stands, you could go in the locker rooms, you could go in the bathrooms, you could go in like the VIP areas of the stadium. It was like this big thing. And then season 6 came and they're like, bam, subway stations. Like they made a story with it. And then we rolled into Verdansk with Cold War, and they even had a story behind that. Like, like satellites crashed. Bam, they changed the map because the satellites crashed in the storyline. Oh, downtown Verdansk blew up because Adler blew it up when he was brainwashed. So one thing I feel like they're missing is a storyline that brings together the experience of what Warzone is. Because right now, there's no storyline with Warzone. It's just another generic battle royale. It's not like Fortnite. Like Fortnite developed their maps through storytelling. We don't have that. We haven't had that. I mean, Caldera had it, but it wasn't to the level of Verdansk had it. They're like, yeah, we're Call of Duty. We're a military game. Like we have a military game that's cool, and they don't build that anymore. I feel like right now we have a problem of like they're going full force with the silly stuff, and it kind of numbs the idea of what the game was. What I loved about Modern Warfare 2019 and Cold War was like the game took itself serious. And then when you had something silly, it was like an anomaly to the game. Where like when you had something silly come up, it was like the coolest thing ever. Where now it's like they don't really care about the storyline past the campaign and past zombies. And we don't get like these cool updates to the maps anymore. We don't get these cool design things. We're like, oh my God, the stadium's open now. Let's go. We haven't had that since Warzone 2.0. When Modern Warfare 2 came out, we had a live event to reveal MW3. It was like you blew open the observatory in the middle of the map, and then that was like the part of the new map. It was like it was blown up. So I feel like that's where we're lacking too, is they're not taking the setting that they're putting themselves in serious anymore, which affects the game. Because it's like, how are you going to make a game on the Gulf War, but you don't have all these cool things in Warzone where like you could build a story off of like Perseus. Like they had Perseus in Cold War. Black Ops 6, they have what are they called now? The bad guys?
It's not gonna come to me in time. I can't remember.
Hold on, I can tell you. Oh, Pantheon.
But yeah, I knew it was another
Pantheon
P.
now.
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't we update the map and make changes based on like the storyline? Like, why doesn't Pantheon like go to Urzikstan or like one of the Warzone maps and like they do something story-wise where like it evolves the map a little bit? Because like, dude, the storyline was huge when they were like introducing Task Force 141 throughout the seasons. That was like the coolest thing ever because it actually like made you feel like you were involved with something. Versus now you say, oh, hey, you know, I'd really like that skin from Campaign to be in Warzone. No, boring. We need unicorns, that shit as a takedown. It's like, it's become mind-numbing where it's like, that stuff's not interesting anymore. It was interesting when the game was a military game with anomalies like that.
Right.
And now it's gone full force. It's like, you know, the next, till January, we're not getting updates with the game. We're just getting bundles.
Right.
It's like, where's the involvement of any of that.
Yeah, it's like you've over-indexed on the monetization layer, but the underlying layer is then not being spoken to properly.
Yeah, no events. They're like Modern Warfare 3, they kind of executed that a little bit. They're like, okay, like we have an event with these free rewards. You could also buy a skin, but it was like, okay, like no map changes though. Like where's the map change that? Like we had an event called the Hunt for Adler or whatever in Warzone. It like, you know, you were hunting Adler, the map was changing. You had the freaking boat with the zombies go onto the land of Verdansk. And it was because of a storyline. We lack a storyline now where it's like we don't get anything for Warzone. And I don't know, maybe because Avalon got shelved, we didn't get anything, because the season opener for season 1, it's like, oh, we're going to Avalon, like the underground's there, like we have to fight these gangs in Avalon. Like we don't know if that would affect Warzone because we don't have the big map. We don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I think
they're lacking on map changes as well.
Yeah, I feel like what happens is the Activision business unit sort of says, okay, let's look at this with a 5-year lens, right? Through a 5-year lens. And let's figure out like, okay, we're going to go from like this big map to like vaguely to this other one, like whatever. Okay, cool. We've got a plan. And then they change that plan last minute because they're like, okay, actually Verdansk is coming in March and Avalon's not coming till next year. And like holy smokes, we're going to just switch it all around. But then that on a 5-year schedule, them just like swapping 2 maps around, for example, doesn't look like that big a deal. But I think it completely misses the individual day-to-day experience of the players who are trying to play through those maps, right? Like you're never going to have an exec making that call being like, but hold on, that's going to mean that like the audio that they recorded for a cutscene that we've just rendered out for the end of Avalon is now happening at the wrong point in the story, so that can't happen anymore, so we have to cut that story completely. Like, those sorts of things are never going to be taken into account there. And so the player just gets slop. The player gets a soulless map that is broken and buggy and not properly quality assured and doesn't have any of the extra story or narrative or whatever that it should do, and instead it's only got this extra monetization layer that was going to be fine regardless because they were going to slap that on regardless of what map it was ever going to be, right? So I think that's one kind of core of the problem there. I mean, and this is something, to be clear, that also does affect zombies. Like I think that in zombies right now, as much as there have been improvements to the story this year compared to in Cold War, they are still having this problem where the maps themselves don't ooze story in the way that the old maps used to do. Like they've said, oh yeah, we're moving away from facility maps, which is great, but if you jump on Liberty Falls, for instance, there is so little stuff on that map to make you stop and go, why is that there? That must be a story thing. Like I can't think of any examples other than the Dark Ether in the church, and there's nothing really that the game gives you to actually investigate that beyond it's just purple, right? Like that's it. Whereas you play Verrucht, you could just be in the spawn of Verrucht and you're like, why is this here? Why is this here? Why is this here? Why is that like that? Like, why is this making this sound? Who could that be? What does this name mean? Why is this weird Bible quote on the wall? What do those numbers mean? What's that sound when I turn on the power? Like, it's endless. And now it's just
I agree with that.
A shell. And then it's a shell where cool cutscenes happen to bookend the shell, but the intermediate thing is basically just a place where you fight zombies. And I think that's because there's disconnect between the narrative team and the level design team. And I suspect the same is happening in Warzone, where the narrative team can't do cool narrative things because they're probably on a completely different schedule, trying to figure out how to put their fires out with Avalon, while the level design team are like, oh my God, we've got to release a different map order now. Like, what the hell are we going to do that?
I will say, sorry to interrupt you here. Modern Warfare 2 did it a little bit. One thing is when they introduced Amsterdam, the Vondel map, they kind of were like, they were teasing towards like Makarov and the Russians. It was kind of like, oh, like, you know, we're going to Avalon because, you know, the Russians are there fighting now. Or not Avalon, sorry, Vondel.
Yep.
And they kind of were doing a little bit of story stuff that was kind of cool. It was like, okay, like new map Vondel, like we're here because this is happening. And I love Vondel specifically. I think Beanox made Vondel. I think so. I don't know. I could be wrong on that. That map has so much passion to it that like you can still play it today and there's new things like you never thought of. You're like, wow, like this map has a lot of passion put into it, story or not. and the story kind of adds to it, where it's like you go to the train station, there's like destroyed stuff. The middle of the market's got like destroyed helicopters because they were shot down in the storyline, and that made it really, really cool because like you could play Vondel. It's kind of like what you said about Verrucht. When you play Vondel, you're like, oh, what? Why did that just happen? Why did this just happen? You break through a glass window at a tech store in Vondel, the alarms go off. It's like, oh my God, like that's a direct result of something I did in the game. You go to, there's a boat you can go on. You can slow the boat down. You can make the boat go faster. You interact with the map a little bit more because like it was like, it's passion into it. That's a huge thing is passion. I feel like they've been lagging with Warzone maps. In Vondel, you go to the waterfront. It's like these really nice detailed homes where you could relate to it and be like, oh yeah, like this is cool. Like it feels like, you know, real home.
Yeah, it feels lived in.
It feels real. And that's what I think they also missed the mark with on Area 99. And they didn't really put Easter eggs in it like they should have. Like it's based on the freaking history of Nuketown, and there's no Easter eggs or like interactable things that are like, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that lacks with it, because right now Area 99 just feels like a wasteland. It's like there's no story to it. It's about Nuketown, but it's like there's not really like this deep dive of like you could do things to it that are interesting. And that's same with the big map Urzikstan. It's like it's Urzikstan. It's a big wasteland of just these houses that are built in the Middle East that are just like whatever. It's not like there's a story with it versus Verdansk. Even Caldera had a freaking story. Like even though it was ridiculous, Godzilla versus Kong, they actually changed the map based off of the storyline. Godzilla and Kong came to the map. All of a sudden, there's a POI with freaking Kong's big axe in the ground with a building destroyed. So it's like they changed it. They had footsteps. Palm trees were knocked over. Like the big ass trees in the jungles were knocked over.
Yeah.
Which changed the landscape of the game a little bit. And then you had Season 5 come and they added like lava and they did all these different things to the map where that interacted with the story. Like if Vanguard could do it on such a short notice, why couldn't have we had Black Ops 6 do the same thing? Or Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 did it like really, really little.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make sense because, dude, if there's more passion, people are going to want to play it more.
Yeah.
And like I said, big map, ranked play, no passion on the map. Did you know they actually reverted big map to the Season 1 version?
Oh.
So because Omni Movement was built on a previous version of the big map, they got rid of Atlas Superstore. They added Atlas Superstore. It was like the flagship of Season 5. Oh, we have, look at Superstore. Remember Superstore from Verdansk?
Yeah.
It's in this. It's in the big map now. That's completely gone. And the Popov power plant area, in like a season cutscene, it got destroyed, I guess. It was like all messed up, like acid everywhere. They completely changed the POI. It was destroyed, reverted back to day one. Bunkers. We had bunkers in big map eventually throughout the seasons. You get specialist bonus. You could go underground, do these things. All gone because they built Omni Movement on season whatever 1 of Modern Warfare 3. And that's why I think Warzone should be a standalone game. It's because like, why are we reverting map changes that added interesting things to the map to, okay, you're back to square one.
Yeah.
You added peanut butter and jelly, and now we're back to just bread. No peanut butter and jelly anymore.
Get rid of that PB&J immediately.
Yeah, and that's one thing that's scary is it's like, when we get this game back to where Warzone needs to be again, is Black Ops 7 or whatever they call it, is it going to be the same thing? Are we going back to day one Black Ops 6? Like, are we building on the day one version of that?
Yeah.
And then rebuilding all the features we had again? Like, that's the part that's scary is like, what's the future of Warzone going to look like if the foundation is constantly destroyed every single time a new game comes out?
Right. It really is like
scary thing.
They're dragging one thing backwards every time they make progress with another thing, right? Like, it's like, okay, we've got Omni Movement now. That's cool. There's some innovation there. But that means that Warzone is going to get absolutely kicked backwards so that we can run on an old version of the map so that we can just make this function, right? And then it's like, okay, we've made some real progress this year going through tweaking all these Warzone POIs or whatever. But unfortunately, those are going to all have to go now. And in fact, we're going to just have to go back to an old Warzone map from the past because the new one that we've been building isn't even ready for whatever reason because of the unified engine or because of the integration not working or who knows, right? Like, there's just constantly this feeling of, oh, because of the integration, it's hard to do blah. Okay, I respect that. From a development perspective, I don't think the devs have it easy by any means. But if it's so difficult to do, why are we doing it when it's breaking the game? Like,
yeah, exactly. Because if you look at Warzone 1, it was just like Warzone was kind of its own thing a little bit because it's like, okay, Cold War came in, they added the Cold War guns and operators, but we didn't go back to Verdansk when the stadium wasn't blown up.
Right.
We didn't go back to Verdansk when they didn't have the subway stations. We were still on the same map, same quality of life updates what we had with Verdansk. All they did was add on to it because it was Warzone 1. It was built on 2019. So all they were doing was adding to it versus now, because it's unified engine, they're freaking have to restart everything that they worked hard on, which is so frustrating.
Yeah. So
and it's crazy that it's like that because I thought integrating the engines was going to make it smooth. Like I thought that was the whole goal, was like, oh, we could easily add on to things, but apparently not. Apparently it's even worse. Because could you imagine Cold War guns got added to Warzone? They're like, hey, stadium's closed up again. The train station's closed up again. Like, we're going back day one. Sorry, guys. Oh, armor satchels where you have 8 plates? No. Sorry, guys. Like, we're going back to 5 plates only. That would have been horrible. It would have been a really bad situation. Now it's like, dude, I just wish they would have added on to what we already had because it was going really good. It was really, really good. And they also make unnecessary changes as well that don't need any changing. So it's like one thing they changed was like, okay, this is a small example, but it just adds on to the whole thing.
Yep.
Rebirth Island, you can get a key card. You go to the buy station, you use the key card, money goes in inventory, you can buy stuff. Now, for some reason, it's like, okay, use the key card, the money flies out of the buy station. You got to get out of the buy station. You got to pick up the money. You have to go back into the buy station. And it's one of those things that's like, why are we changing it to change it? And for Warzone, you know, when you're playing in a match that's moving quickly, there's moments where like you get killed because you're using the key card, you're getting out of the menu, you're getting the money, you're going back into the menu, and then you got to buy your stuff. Versus before, it was like, all right, bam, I used the key card, money's already there, bought my gun, we're moving on. Now it's like an extra process, and I just don't like how they're things that we had perfectly fine, they were changing. I don't know if you know this, but ammo boxes, they just reverted them. So ammo boxes would give you maximum ammo. When Black Ops 6 integrated, they were only giving you 60 bullets out of mag versus 240. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
And then they reverted the thing. They reverted, okay, hey, they give you 240 again. It's like, why was that even, like, no one was like, I don't think a single person was like, hey, man, like, you're giving me too much ammo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It was just like, it was just unnecessary change. Another thing that too they did that was bad is they're trying to make, the whole point of this integration was they want to make it to 1-to-1 in multiplayer. So the perks, the tacticals, the lethals.
Yeah.
Okay, the lethals, tacticals, perfectly fine. But they took away a bunch of perks that were perfect in Warzone that we don't have now. We don't have sleight of hand in Warzone.
That's
Good luck
crazy.
using a gun that has 40 rounds when you're playing quads. You're going to have to run and hide and slowly reload your gun.
Yeah.
They got rid of Mountaineer. Mountaineer was the greatest Warzone perk of all time. It was literally the greatest perk ever created. It was like you basically would take no fall damage when you'd fall.
Right.
And so let's say you're in a 3v1. Oh gosh, I got to get off this building. You don't have to pull your parachute. You just hit the floor. You keep going. It was really good for making plays, and it was good for people that want to play aggressive because they don't get punished by someone camping in a building. Now it's like, oh, someone's camping. You jump off the building. You got to hold your parachute for a couple seconds and let them shoot you. They removed a bunch of perks because they want the 1-to-1 multiplayer experience, which it doesn't make sense because if you want to make it so 1-to-1, let us spawn in with the perks in Warzone. Don't make us get a loadout drop to get our perks.
Right.
How about just let us spawn with the perks that we want? It makes sense because Modern Warfare 2 multiplayer, you had to earn your perks throughout the game. If you play Search and Destroy, you don't get Ghost until round 4.
Right.
It's like, no one liked it. If it doesn't work in multiplayer, why would you want it to be in Warzone if you're trying to make it 1-to-1? It's like you want to make it 1-to-1, but not really 1-to-1. Because if I could just spawn in with my perks in Warzone versus having to collect them, that'd be way better because it's frustrating because perks alter the gameplay, right? Like they give you an advantage. So like, let's say you have no perks and some dude you're fighting has perks, you're screwed. But it's like, you want the 1-to-1 experience, but they're not going full force with it. And another thing too that is super frustrating is a lot of the perks don't even function correctly. So like tempered, it's supposed to heal you. So like if let's say you're one shot, if you use a specific perk called quick fix and you put a plate in, it should automatically regen your health. It's bugged right now. It doesn't even do that. So like even the perks don't work right now. And they've acknowledged it. They said, oh, we fixed it. They haven't fixed some of the perks. Like the perks they said they've fixed, they haven't actually fixed because I still experience it. And another thing too with Warzone is they got rid of like spawning, like not, I wouldn't say they're perks, but like spawning abilities they got rid of. So like now you can't double sprint and plate up anymore. You can't double sprint and reload. That was removed because they want the one-to-one experience, right? So like being able to double sprint and reload is a huge deal, and they took it away.
Yeah.
There's just so many things where it's like, as the base character, you were able to do things that you can't do anymore. You either can't do them or you have to have a specific perk on because they want the one-to-one multiplayer experience. And it's like for Omni Movement specifically, it doesn't make sense to me because Omni Movement, they said with the Black Ops reveal, they want you to feel like an action hero. If I had the perk where I wouldn't take fall damage and I could dolphin dive backwards off a building in Warzone and shoot my gun, knowing I'm not gonna die when I land, if I could jump off the building backwards, bam, 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 I just eliminated somebody, it would feel so cool because I didn't die doing it.
You'd have the action hero fantasy.
Movement. Yeah, they don't have that in Warzone. It's in multiplayer because you can't physically go anywhere high enough to kill yourself on accident by doing Omni Movement. In Warzone, you literally jump off a 2-story building, you take damage. You can't do the action hero fantasy that they want in multiplayer. So it's like they're trying to do a one-to-one experience when the games are completely different. Multiplayer doesn't play the same as Battle Royale. And I think that's where the huge problem is. With MW3, they were able to split the gap between, okay, like it's similar, but it's not exactly the same. Movement's the same, but you have the ability to do things with certain perks that multiplayer doesn't have. So like Mountaineer, that was a Warzone exclusive perk. Multiplayer didn't have that with MW3.
Right.
So it was just a Warzone thing, and they stripped all of that life. And yeah, it sucks. Like, you know how cool it'd be to dolphin dive backwards off a 3-story building and shoot somebody as I'm falling and not have to pull my parachute?
The clips would be crazy, dude.
Alive.
And seeing that as well in like World Series of Warzone or something, if people were pulling off clips like that, that would be crazy. But yeah, I guess that
Omni Movement, people are too scared. If you don't play Warzone a lot, so I'm giving you my experience here. No one really uses Omni Movement because it punishes you more than it helps you. In multiplayer, it makes sense because you have base health. You don't have 3 plates. You have the normal health where like it makes sense where if you risk doing an Omni Movement dive around a corner, you're gonna get that guaranteed kill because the health's so low. In Warzone, the problem with Omni Movement is the health's so high that doing an Omni Movement dive around the corner, you're not going to get that kill. You're going to get killed because, you know, you're doing a lot of movement, but you're hindering yourself because you have to deal with the weapon sway and all these things when you're diving a certain way. And another thing is that's important is diving is not very reliable in this Warzone. With MW3 Warzone and even MW2, diving was really reliable. You're getting shot at, you could dive instantly and get to cover. In this game, there's sort of a delay, and it's not an insta dive. You kind of float now because they want Omni Movement. You're not diving anymore. There's kind of like you're floating, like when you dive, and it's more of a liability than a help to dive now. Versus MW3, dude. Oh my God, diving was the greatest thing of all time. You dive, it's helpful. It was really like punchy. Like it was punchy. You could feel it.
Yeah.
And same with the sliding right now. The sliding is really slow. People really wanted that like sliding movement back where like you could slide and like do movement and all these things that like would help you. Sliding kind of hinders you now because you have to complete a full slide to get out of it. And it's also really freaking slow. And there's a delay. There's a slight delay versus MW3. Oh, it was so responsive. It was punchy. Like the gameplay was punchy as hell.
Yeah, I've talked to people about this for zombies specifically. Like I've said a couple times on stream, and people are always like, "Milo, you're crazy for this," but I feel like the Cold War movement system was really fun in zombies because you could sort of ping off ledges and like it was good. It was good. It worked, right? In this, I very, very rarely find myself doing any kind of movement thing and being like, that was fun. Like there's movement tricks that you can do with augments. Like I can use the hot foot augment on stamina up and I can run really fast. And it's like
PhD.
Yeah, exactly. Tribologist.
Slide.
Yes, that's like those things are good, but the problem I have with categorizing that as just like the movement is that they are like abilities that you unlock, right? Whereas the base fundamental running around the map just doesn't feel quite as fun as it did in Cold War at base without any other tweaks or extra things that I can choose to enable or not, right? And it's interesting because I suspect part of the reason for that is that the zombies movement system has to work the same way as the multiplayer movement system. And it's the same sort of issue then happening where like the devs are going to be making decisions about how the movement should be in zombies or in Warzone based on how it is in multiplayer. And that is just
they want to cross the board
inherently going to make it flawed. Like you're never going to be able to make the best possible Warzone decision if you're beholden to what multiplayer needs first, right? Like, that's just never going to work, and vice versa.
It should be, I mean, it's cool they change Warzone every year, but it's gotten to the point now where you kind of realize, like, all right, they should stick with one thing and just build out that thing forever.
Yeah, it's got its own challenges. I mean, again, it's interesting because we see some of the ramifications of some of this stuff in Zombies too, where even like your interact settings, right? Like tap to interact became a thing. I believe, I could be wrong about this, but I believe when Blackout came out, because people were really frustrated by having to hold down on everything to pick stuff up in Blackout.
Oh my God, yes,
so they introduced tap to interact,
yeah.
which is great. But now in Zombies, there's people that play tap to interact because that's what they're used to in the other parts of the game, but they don't fully enable all the stuff that are possible when you're doing hold to interact. So for example, I've said this a bunch of times, but I'll say it again here. In Terminus, when you're doing the bomb step, if you're just holding to interact, you can get off the bombs and you can go and come back and you're fine. Whereas if you're tapped to interact, you're glued to the bomb. So you're just getting hit in the back of the head and you just die. So like, stuff like that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, like people die completely unnecessarily. And then I say it in a video, like, yeah, you should be able to get off the bomb. And I get 100 comments being like, wait, I died to this and I thought it was just the game being like annoying. I didn't realize that it actually is just because of the settings I have on. Like that should never be the case. So I think
I've had that issue too with zombies. I play zombies like not enough. Like I've got the master camo, but I'm not like glued on zombies.
Sure.
I also deal with that problem with interacting with things where I feel like I don't know if the game's broken or not. I definitely have experienced that. I don't know what to do with the settings on that either.
Yeah.
So I can see that that's an issue for people.
So overall, I think in summary, it seems like there's a few issues here that we sort of recognize are like bigger than us as individual creators, right? Like ultimately, will Call of Duty ever actually start paying for better servers? Probably not. They just probably won't. And that's probably going to be something which is problematic for the rest of Black Ops 6. And then maybe the netcode will be better in the next game. And so it'll be slightly less of a big deal, but it will still be a problem regardless, as it has been in Call of Duty for many years. Will they figure out the anti-cheat stuff? Maybe. Whether it comes to Season 2 or Season 3, that's sort of not anything that we're going to have any kind of control over, so whatever, right? But I think certainly from a feedback perspective to the devs and also to a community perspective to you and my audiences, I think it's really important for us to basically say there are a suite of things that are wrong right now, and no matter how you slice it, whether or not it's good business, bad business, it is a bad player experience. And if we can recognize that it's a bad player experience, we can get a sprinkling in of maybe some better comms to just soothe the zombies community in certain areas, soothe the Warzone community, stop making them feel gaslit about things, like stuff like that, stop getting community noted. That will be a step in the right direction. And then hopefully the overall business unit can make some decisions that are actually player first eventually, rather than the stuff that we've got right now, which feels like it's all come to a kind of climax and a pinnacle here of various bad player experiences, all meaning that the underlying fundamental experience is degraded. And I want to see that changed, and I'm sure you want to see that changed as well. So Activision, please.
I love the game. I'm not even like, I genuinely don't like talking bad about the game because it feels bad. I just want the game to be fixed. And another thing too I want to tap in with Warzone is they removed something that even was in the launch of Warzone 2.0 back in 2022.
Yeah.
It was the ability to get nukes. Dude, that was a part of the gameplay loop that was working with Warzone 2. So how nukes in Warzone work is you either get 5 wins in a row or you get 30 wins overall, and then you get a nuke contract. And so how the nuke contract works is you grab a contract in the game and it alerts every single player in the game, hey, someone's doing a nuclear contract. And then there was a set of objectives you'd have to do to get these nuke elements. And so when you grab a nuke element, you'd pop up on the map and then everybody would start coming for you. In game chat, you'd hear everyone, get him, get him, get him. And it was so fun because it's like you built towards this moment of adrenaline in the game. We're like, dude, I played so many games to get this new contract. And so how you do the nuke is you get these 3 nuke elements. In big map, it's like you shoot down helicopters, you open vaults, and you collect crates, do all these different things. In small map, it's like, hey, you know, there's respawns, so you just stay alive. You bring the timer down by getting kills, executing people, opening chests, buying stuff. Don't die though. Like if you die, you're not going to get the nuke. And it built towards this awesome thing because what you do is you get all the elements, you put them into the bomb site that would drop from the sky towards the end of the game. You would have to plant the bomb, and you have to defend it for like a couple minutes against other people in the game. And then when it blew up, it ends the game. It says like, here are your Warzone like nuke champions. And then they'd give you rewards. They would give you operator skins, camos, like animated universal camos. And they would give you weapon blueprints. And it was the coolest thing ever. It was a part of the gameplay loop because it's like, look at this. I have this to show, like I did this in the game. And I think that was a part of the loop because it's like, for even average players, it's like, you know, one day they could get a nuke. You know
they have
what I mean?
something
Like,
to aspire
that
to.
idea. Yeah, they have something to aspire to. And for me personally, you know, I have on Modern Warfare 3 on Resurgence, I had like 600, 700 wins in Resurgence. And like, it was fun every time knowing we could get a nuke in the game. It was like, all right, like I'm not just playing to play. Right now with Black Ops 6, it's like, I have all the master camos. I have played so much Warzone in my life. It's like, I'm kind of just playing to play at this point. I'm not even getting rewards, like no nukes to work towards, like to look forward to.
Yeah.
And that's where I think they slipped up huge time. It was from season 1 of MW2 to season 6 of Modern Warfare 3, they had this nuke thing. It was on big map and it was on all the small maps. And every season they would add a new reward. So even if you don't care about like anything that they're adding into the season, at least you could be like, oh, look, dude, I could do a nuke contract. And if Verdansk doesn't have nuke contracts, that would be like a really big like loss because it's for content. It's fun to watch people go for nukes on stream. You know, if you go, oh, hey, I got 10 contracts doing a nuke run, viewers love watching nuke runs because it's this intense experience. Because, dude, when you're doing the nuke and you have every player in the game running at you and they're teaming up together, they're in game chat, don't shoot me, let's kill the guy with the nuke.
Yeah.
Dude, it builds the most intense experience
it's like the
for Warzone I've ever played.
Warzone version of the Rampage inducer and zombies. It's like, all right,
yeah,
set to round
yes.
50, hit me. Like,
it's like you're doing an Easter. It's kind of weird to say it. It's like you're doing an Easter egg in Warzone. Like you're dealing with these things you don't deal with normally in a game, just like zombies. Like you're doing Easter egg, you're dealing with things you don't normally deal with. And that was kind of Warzone's like bread and butter was like, oh, I can do a nuke, dude. And like people would do like solo nukes, like nukes and quads. Like it was just such a good, intense experience. And I can't believe they got, I don't even know the reasoning why that's not in the game now, because it was in MW2. It wasn't like, it was like, oh, like they added it mid MW3. It's been there for 2 years straight. And it's like, where's the nukes? Where are the nukes? Like look at Swag. Like he loved going for nukes. Like that, like that was his thing. Like him and his boys, they do the nuke, like get the wins. All right, we got the contract. They'd go for the nukes. And it's like, where is that gameplay experience? Even stopping somebody from getting a nuke made it so fun. Like, you know, you're playing for hours. It pops up on your screen. Oh, operator's going for a nuke. It's like, oh, like this gonna be so fun. Like this game's gonna be so fun.
Yeah.
Like you can stop people from doing it, and it was just added a fat element to the core DNA of the new Warzone 2.0 that they went with. And I can't believe it's just gone. Like that. Seriously, disappointing that it's gone because it was huge for even average players.
Yeah, I feel like Zombies also has got some weird kind of quirks this year with like there's been some real good progress made with progression, but there are other areas where it's like, oh, I feel like there just should be a reward here and there's not, or like they're not thinking about the fact that like, okay, you might want to do an Easter egg once, but what about someone that wants to do an Easter egg twice? Like, why is there not any thinking beyond just one Easter egg completion? It's very much geared towards just like the most casual possible player. And if they do the Easter egg, Treyarch's like, our job is complete. And it's like, well, hold on. Some people play the map more than once. You know what I mean? Like some people like grinding those Easter eggs. But regardless, we've covered a lot of ground today. I think I wanna leave it there, tie a little bow on it as our multiplayer and Warzone and a teeny tiny sprinkling of Zombies feedback too. But I also want to say for anyone in the comments, any of you guys that are listening right now, if there are other issues that you feel like we haven't addressed today that do need some attention and you're like, oh, there's this one thing that's ruining my gameplay experience, drop a comment down below because I regularly do like news update type videos talking about stuff that's broken in the game, stuff that Activision is not fixing, like all this sort of stuff. I'm doing that pretty frequently right now. And so if you've got an issue that you feel like needs some attention, I might be able to help you get your voice heard, just like we're trying to kind of help our voices and also amplify your voices doing podcasts like this. So, Hunter, thank you for being here. It's been so good because
of course
you got such a depth of knowledge of Warzone that I don't even begin to scrape the surface on. I've played so little Warzone over the years that I'm just like, I'm hearing all these things. I'm like, whoa, that's like getting those nukes back in
That's new.
Modern Warfare 2, that sounds pretty fun, dude. Like, damn.
Yeah, it's fun, yeah.
So, yeah, thank you for being here. I'll have links to Hunter's channel down below. And thank you, everyone, for listening today. And I'll hopefully catch you back sometime soon. All right, bye for now.